This episode of FineScale Modeler's new product rundown features HK Model's DO335, Revell Germany's Leopard 1, Airfix's Stuka, and AMT's 50th anniversary Star Trek kits.
Welcome to FineScale Modeler's new product rundown. I'm Elizabeth Nash.
And I'm Aaron Skinner. We've got a bunch of cool kits to get through today, starting with
HK Models 1/32 scale Dornier DO335, the unique push-pull twin-engine heavy fighter built in Germany late in World War II.
Heavily armed and fast, the File, or Arrow as it's known, could have been a serious problem for the Allies.
But only 37 were built before the war ended.
HK Models, a relative newcomer, delighted modelers a few years ago with 1/32 scale B-25s and a B-17.
The Arrow is the first German plane built by the Chinese manufacturer, so let's see what's inside.
In 1/32 scale, the DO335 is a big model, nearly 17 inches both in length and span, and there's a lot of plastic in the box.
The external surfaces are marked with extremely fine recessed panel lines and rivets.
HK uses slide molding to produce items such as single-part leading edges and wingtips. That minimizes misalignments.
Another nice touch is the spine. The part is separated along panel lines and protects circular hatches.
This kit represents the single-seat fighter-bomber version and includes a well-appointed cockpit with its early ejection seat, joystick, pedals, and tub.
2 engines means, well, 2 engines. HK's nicely detailed DB603 power plants feature plumbing, separate exhausts and heads, and different mounts.
The front engine wraps around one of 2 metal blocks, so no extra weight will be necessary to keep the nose down. The front cowl is a single piece and has optional open or closed flaps.
The maintenance hatches can be posed open to show the engines. All of the control surfaces are separate.
Detailed bomb bays, wheel wells, and landing gear detail the underside. Other features include beautifully molded firewalls and bulkheads, one-piece spinners, and different props.
There's even a bomb. The 2-part canopy can be posed open. Clear parts provide light lenses.
Cartograph decals mark 3 files, including the same one in German and American markings. Stencils and swastikas are provided.
This release includes a bonus pair of resin figures, a seated pilot with helmet and oxygen mask, and a standing ground crewman.
Despite being more of a what-if than an operational success, the file has always been popular with modelers.
There's a lot in this kit, and it should be no exception to the trend. Next up is a kit I know Aaron's excited to look at. Revell Germany's 1/35 scale Leopard 1.
Developed in Germany in the late 1950s and early 60s, the Leopard, which was known as the Leopard 1 after the introduction of its replacement, went on to serve with many NATO nations and several in South America.
This all-new kit represents the first version of the main battle tank with no side skirt and a cast metal turret with no added armor.
It also represents some nice forward steps from Revell Germany.
Beyond the redesigned box art, the first thing that strikes you is the absence of the dark Army Man green plastic that has characterized Revell armor kits.
Instead, the 260 parts are molded in gray plastic. Clear instructions are printed in color on glossy paper. Red arrows make part placement a snap.
The kit includes options for German, Belgium, and Dutch Leopards from the construction batches 2 to 4. Differences are clearly called out in the diagrams.
Revell reproduces the hull in multiple parts to account for some of the differences,
including optional rear plates and exhaust grills. The road wheel arms are keyed for alignment, and many incorporate the shock absorbers.
Finely molded tools embellish the exterior. The drive sprockets and return rollers look sharp, as do the hooks and other details. Check out the thin edge on the mirrors.
The molding of the bolts and hubs on the road wheels and idlers is first rate.
The casting texture on the turret is a tad heavy, but nothing a couple coats of primer can't fix. The hatches are separate, and the stowage basket is finely molded.
Fine parts such as the grab handles and boxes look terrific. A separate sprue provides stowage boxes, smoke grenade launcher brackets, and more for the Dutch Leopard.
Soft vinyl is provided for the tracks, tow cables, and the spotlight power cable.
A small decal sheet provides markings for 2 German, 1 Belgian, and 1 Dutch Leopard.
There's a lot to like about Revell's new Leopard 1, despite the lack of clear parts for the periscopes and lights.
Yeah, it's nice to have a modern option to the ancient Tamiya Leopard 1.
Sticking with the German theme, let's see what's inside Airfix's 1/72 scale Stuka.
The Junkers Ju-87 dive bomber was a fearsome weapon in early World War II.
Yeah, made obsolete by faster Allied fighters, the bent-wing beast soldiered on until war's end as a ground attacker and tank destroyer.
Airfix's new toolkit represents the earlier B1 version.
Beautifully molded, the parts have fine panel lines and raised details such as wing walks.
The cockpit floor is molded with extensive wing spars that should add strength to the airframe.
Details cram the small cockpit. Sidewalls, equipment, and instrument panels with decal dials.
2 pilot seats are provided, with and without belts, to accommodate the crew figures if desired.
Optional parts allow the canopy to be posed open or closed. Clear parts provide the landing light cover, bomb sight, and belly viewport.
The center part of the lower wing joins the fuselage. The rudder is separate, but most of the control surfaces, including the semi-floating flaps and ailerons, aren't posable.
Optional tail wheels, landing gear legs, and bombs and associated racks differentiate the marking choices.
Unused drop tanks point towards other versions on the way, probably a long-range R.
The fuselage splits at the engine firewall, and the cowl, exhaust, spinner, and prop are on a separate sprue.
Cartograph decals provide markings for 2 early Stukas, a Luftwaffe aircraft in France in August 1940, and a Legion Condor bomber during the Spanish Civil War in 1938. Packed with details and options, Airfix's Stuka should be a fun, easy build.
Makes you want to dive right in, doesn't it? September 8th, 2016 marks the 50th anniversary of the first time Star Trek aired.
Over the next 5 decades, the sci-fi TV show would blossom into a global phenomenon.
Spawning at least 4 TV series, there's a 5th one on the way in 2017, and more than a dozen movies.
And modeling has been a part of the Star Trek universe ever since AMT released its first Enterprise kit in 1966.
Now, round 2 is marking the anniversary with the release of a couple of classics.
The first is the original 1/650th scale USS Enterprise in retro packaging with an attractive plastic slipcover.
This is the classic Enterprise we've all built at some point or another.
The molds were modified by round 2 in 2008 to remove the raised grid pattern from the primary hull.
Other parts remain the same, so you can build the so-called production version of the iconic ship straight from the box.
One nice touch is the inclusion of a round 2 dome stand with a metal rod to replace the wobbly-as-all-get-out original stand.
Basic assembly instructions are bolstered by extensive marking diagrams.
Water slide decals and stickers both provide markings for the Enterprise and 12 other vessels. Windows, stencils, and even Mirror Universe insignia are included.
Also marked for the 50th anniversary is a 1/350th scale Klingon bird of prey, arguably one of the nicest Star Trek kits in AMT's catalog.
Molded in wicked green plastic, the parts have crisp surface detail, including panels and structural elements.
When it was released originally, the kit's wings could be posed in either cruise or attack mode.
That was done through the use of optional radiator baffles.
New parts, added a few years ago, allow the wings to be posed on the ground. Landing gear legs and feet finish the ship.
A small decal sheet and extensive painting diagrams detail the complex color scheme.
This is a terrific looking kit. Does anyone know where I can find a 1/350th scale Dr. McCoy holding a paintbrush?
Look for detailed reviews of the DO 335, Stuka, and the Leopard in upcoming issues of FineScale Modeler magazine.
And you can see more new products in the April issue, on sale March 1st.
Thanks for visiting FineScale.com. I'm Elizabeth Nash.
And I'm Aaron Skinner. Live long and prosper.
There's even a bomb.
What is that reading?
I just got so excited by that sentence. Kids, there's even a bomb. Okay, all right.